Hello and welcome to this France 24 interview in Paris with Mr. Fayez al-Sarraj, who's the head of the Government of National Accord in Libya. Welcome, Mr. al-Sarraj.
Hello.
Thank you for accepting our invitation. So what did the Paris talks with Emmanuel Macron lead to?
Well, first of all, let me say that this is a trip that we paid at the invitation of President Macron. We discussed a number of things on Tuesday. We discussed the relationship between France and Libya, which historically is a very strong one. We have much in common. We've discussed the recent political developments in Libya. We found a number of agreements as to what the right solutions would be. We've discussed also the relaunch of a number of agreements and treaties and MOUs between our two countries. We discussed the possible return of French companies to Libya. French contracts in Libya are worth more than $3 billion. So there clearly is an opportunity for us to work together. We discussed, for instance, the possibility of creating a positive environment. We discussed political and security stabilization, which will require more work. Macron promised that we'd work with the EU in this respect. Now, we know that France has always risen to the challenge on the Libyan issue.
And there is the ceasefire and the organizing of elections in Libya in the shortest time frame possible.
Yes. Now, in the margins of the meeting with Monsieur Macron, I met Khalifa Haftar. We issued a joint statement. We discussed a number of significant items. We stated once again that what the political agreement was, what the framework for political solution was, the need to fight together against terrorism, the need to reunify the institutions in Libya, discuss the elections. So all these items are items that we'd already listed in the roadmap that I'd put forward.
Absolutely, as you said, but what are the guarantees for implementation now?
Well, this roadmap is a package of ideas that are being put forward, that can be negotiated upon, that will require lots of work and coordination. There are many sides to it, policy issues, security issues, technical issues, which are the remit of the National Election Commission, and they will be organizing this. But we will require the support of the international community. We've discussed this with Ghassan Salamé, the Secretary General's special representative. We've looked at the support that we will require from the United Nations on the supervision, monitoring, and organization of the elections so that they can be recognized as free, fair and acceptable by all.
Is Tuesday's agreement binding for the other parties in Libya?
Yes, of course. Now, let me try and address your question slightly differently. Can I mention the way in which we reached and developed this roadmap? I think we all in Libya agree that there's a deadlock on the political stage. We are in a deadlock and have been for many months. The security, economic, financial issues are troubling. There's division in the institutions between politicians, and all of that has had a significant influence on the economic and financial situation of the country. And because of this deadlock, this political deadlock, we had to think out of the box and find alternative solutions. Now, the roadmap is not an alternative to the political dialogue. It is in the footsteps, or it follows in the footsteps of the political discussion.
It seems that Italy is unhappy with the results of these talks and has invited France to not repeat the mistakes that have been made recently in Libya. Do you agree with these Italian concerns?
Well, we have discussed, and we are still discussing these issues with all the parties. The Italians are very understanding. I'll be in Italy very shortly, and will further this dialogue with Italy, with the EU, with the international community. Monsieur Macron told me that he was in contact with the Italians, with the Italian Prime Minister, Mr. Gentiloni. And I think this is really something that is really a media hype more than policy.
Should we go from Paris to Rome?
Yes.
This agreement also allows for the fight against terrorism. We know that there are still terrorist cells in Libya.
From the very beginning, we said that the war against terrorism is something that should unite us. We fought against terrorism in Sirte. We pursued the terrorists once they left the town and went towards the desert. In Benghazi, there was also a war, a major battle against terrorism that was very costly. So the war against terrorism is a lengthy process that will require coordination and contributions from all. Terrorism is a threat on the international community and not just Libya.
What is your position on the liberation of Benghazi?
Well, we were delighted to see that. We expect that the next struggle will be the battle for the reconstruction of Benghazi, and we hope that everyone will contribute.
Criticism has been leveled at you regarding the fact that supposedly Tripoli is governed by armed militia. Even General Haftar has said that you have not been able to establish your authority in the capital and in the country, even after a full year since the Government of National Accord was set up in Tripoli. What is your opinion on that criticism?
If you have any doubts about the security situation in Tripoli, you can come and visit, and I invited you to visit.
And I accepted.
I invited you to come and as soon as you can, so that you can show the situation in Tripoli.
So there are no armed militia that control the political process in Tripoli?
There are security forces working for the Ministry of the Interior, for the government, which are ensuring the security and safety of Tripoli, of our fellow citizens, who are fighting against any disrupting forces. Today, Tripoli is safe, really.
Now the hot-button issue is to find a real solution and to implement what is allowed for in this agreement, despite the fact that the main topics in this agreement are nothing new. Do you believe that the new UN Special Envoy, Ghassan Salamé, can do any better than his predecessor, Martin Kobler?
Well, admittedly, the situation is very complex, and we will have to go on working with all the political stakeholders, and we will require support from the international community on this. We will support the Special Envoy, Monsieur Salamé, and help him lead the UN's work on the Libyan issue.
Given the current circumstances, especially after the Paris Agreement, do you believe that his mission has been made any easier now that the roadmap has been properly established for Libya?
The roadmap is available to Mr. Ghassan Salamé. He can take it, work on it, discuss and dialogue with all the political stakeholders if there are needs for amendments, changes, new implementation mechanisms. All of this is possible and it's available to him. Mr. Salamé was with us during the meeting. I discussed things with him. I presented to him the roadmap in great detail, and he agreed with the vision.
There is another issue which is very much in the papers at the moment, which is, of course, illegal immigration. The Mediterranean around the Libyan coast has become a graveyard. Why is this?
Well, illegal immigration is an issue that we have already discussed with the EU and other partners. It's something we've been discussing for some time. It's not new. It's very complex. Everyone needs to work on this together. We need to have a comprehensive view. We've discussed with our EU colleagues the need to enforce our southern borders. The EU and the international communities need to put their money where their mouth is in terms of Libya. Libya is a country of transit, and the European Union and the international community must exercise pressure on neighboring countries to control their borders. But these neighboring countries, unfortunately, are in very difficult economic and financial situations, and they need support. We also need to support the countries of origins of these migrants so that they will accept the return of their nationals. Libya today cannot host that many displaced persons and migrants. Our refugee centers require assistance to improve the health situation in the centers, the way in which these migrants are welcomed. These migrants are suffering, either it's at sea and in the deserts, and we need to work together to fight against this. We've discussed it with the EU and looked at ways to support the coast guards, who unfortunately only have dinghies at their disposal, whereas the people smugglers have much better equipment. They have much more sophisticated ships, and they are heavily armed. So we really need to have a comprehensive view of the issue. We also need to work with the countries of origins of the migrants to extend development aid to them and create jobs there.
Why has the European Union not fulfilled its commitments, and how has it justified this?
Well, many promises have been made, but the implementation is taking time. Our partners are working, are trying to help us. Italy, mainly Italy, is doing so. But Italy shouldn't be the only one to bear that burden. I'm surprised when I see that some European countries are still refusing to take on migrants.
Yes, it is Italy alone that is dealing with this pressure.
Italy is under pressure, as is Libya, to fight against this trafficking, to welcome these migrants, to repatriate them. I mean, it's a very complex issue, and we really need a comprehensive understanding of this so as to find comprehensive solutions to it.
Fayez al-Sarraj, head of the Government of National Accord in Libya, thank you.
Thank you.
That is the end of this interview. Stay with us on France 24.